Welcome back to Sports Talk ATL. I am Chase Earl, joined by Alex Orr. Tennessee and Alabama met up at Bryant-Denny Stadium in one of the best rivalries in the SEC, revenge game for Alabama. But this game started out with Tennessee absolutely dominating. Joe Milton looked like the quarterback everyone expected. The Tennessee fans had to be like, oh, this is what we expected. Heupel was dialing it up. He looked like he had Nick Saban's number. 20-7. They go into the half up 13. Probably could have been more than that. They got stuffed on a couple. They could have been easily up 28, 27, 28, 7, whatever. Then the second half comes, and Alabama. I'm going to talk more about Alabama than I am Tennessee here, because Tennessee I never thought was that good of a team, and I'm not surprised they lost by 14. Alabama looked the best they have all season in that second half. Defensively, offensively, Joe Milton, it all seemed together. The running game, they were able to control the clock. 27-0 in the second half. They absolutely dominated. I know the Vols fans are sitting here whining about penalties, but buddy, if you get shut out in the second half and lose by 27 points, you deserve to lose. There's no amount of calls that we're going to make up the difference in that game. That version of Alabama right there can win a national championship. Can they be that for the entire season? And can they be that for 4 quarters in a game? I don't know. But what I saw in the second half, I don't know if Alabama plays like that, can beat them.
I think that, Tennessee's defense is not very good. Josh Heupel had an excellent plan in the first half, and Joe Milton executed it to a T. That is exactly what Tennessee fans thought they were getting with Joe Milton. Unfortunately, Heupel, Milton couldn't respond in the second half after Nick Saban and company seemingly made adjustments, or at least started executing their initial plan. And Tennessee, Heupel, Milton had nothing in response to. This Bama defense is for real. They are very good. Milroe finally started to use his legs in designed runs, which is something we hadn't necessarily seen too much from Milroe and Tommy Rees, which was absolutely critical in keeping Tennessee's defense off balance, which eventually opened up the passing game for Milroe. Yeah, great win by Alabama. That was the best they've looked in terms of a full game of the year by far. It's clear that Milroe has always been the guy. And it's good to see that they're starting to execute some of their game plans. Got the biggest game of the year in the SEC coming up, not this weekend, but next weekend in Tuscaloosa between our LSU Tigers and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Winner of that game going to Atlanta to see Georgia.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to talk about that game, so I don't want, but that one should, and it's one of those styles makes fights kind of thing. Like, can Joe Milton be as good as he was in the second half? Because if they fall behind, Jaden Daniels and that LSU offense, it's not going to be 20 points in the first half. It'll be 30-7 at the end of the first half if they play like that. But then again, if they play like they did in the second half, they could put up 40-50 against LSU. So it's going to be a thriller. I mean, I think that line it opened at 5.5. So that tells you that Vegas thinks these are two very evenly matched teams. Obviously, it's Jaden Daniels and company and Brian Kelly going on the road. But LSU, man, this segment, it's not about them, but they look to be hitting their stride. And Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas and Jaden Daniels should be the favorite for the Heisman. There's no doubt about that. He's played better than anybody in the country at the quarterback position. So it's going to be a thriller. But I do want to stick, just as we end this segment, and reiterate that point that I don't know if anybody can beat Alabama if they play like they did in the second half. And it's not just about, I don't think Tennessee's a great team, but just the way Milton was throwing the ball, humming it with confidence, the way they were running it, and the way their defense stood up in the face of adversity, super impressive. And listen, you count out Nick Saban, you're just being an idiot, because the guy is the best coach that we've ever seen. Coming up after the break, last game we're going to break down this segment, USC and Utah.